it's me again, Dansmonsters, another Making Monsters episode. So, what are we going to be chatting about today? Well, as you can see, disclaimer first. I'm just going to have a drink. That's better. This picture was not created in 2019. For some reason or other, again, I forgot to take the thing off the camera, the date. I have done that now, so there's no timestamp on the cameras, thank goodness. So I'm just going to go through this little piece of work that I did post on Instagram. It is about a year old, to be fair, this image. However, it was highly influenced, and something that I keep going back to is a sort of death metal, black, grungy artwork, certainly mastered by the forever awesome Mork Riddick, who, if you've never heard of him, I will put a link in the I can video myself. Hey, again. I'll put a link. His work is just outstanding, and he's got to be the father of black metal art, certainly the black and white stuff. I mean, there isn't a band he hasn't done, including his own band. His artwork is amazing, has influenced a lot of people, certainly me. I mean, just trying to find his kind of stuff. He's just, death metal artwork. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. So, but the other thing that really started me, because I did quite a few of these sorts of black and white things, and I do think it's something I'm going to end up going back to, is the role-playing game Mork Borg by Johan Nohr, I think that's how you say his name, and Pelle Nielsen, which again, sorry if I've absolutely sacrificed those names. The Swedish guys who came up with this incredible game. Now, if you've never seen it, I cannot recommend it enough. It's just incredible. The whole idea of it is just, well, here, for example, I'm just going to go on the website now. Let's have a look. The design, the illustrations, everything about it, which is Johan Nohr is the designer. Oh man, I mean, it's described as a doom metal album of a game, a spiked flail to the face, light on rules and heavy on everything else. Honestly, guys, everything about it's won an absolute ton of awards for its art and its design. I mean, the design itself, the art's amazing, but the design of the whole book is just incredible. So I picked up a copy. I mean, originally you could download it for free as a PDF, and then I also picked up this beautiful hardback copy of it, which I think, is it on my shelf? Can I see it now? Oh yeah, look at that. I'm going to go and grab it whilst I'm talking to you. Look at that beauty. It's just amazing. And there's so much stuff now that they've added to it. If you go on the website, it is just nuts. So, guys, go pick it up. I can't recommend it enough. Again, I'll put a link into it. But I think, so from that sort of point of view, that's where I decided that I had done stuff like this in the past. But I always felt like I needed to add more and more colour. And then I went through a phase where when Mork Borg came in with its simple sort of colour, because obviously Mike Mignola's a big influence on me, and Ben Templesmith, among a billion other artists, but certainly those are two of them. Certainly when it comes to my attempts to draw comics, which have been very poor. I've just tried, sort of given that up, and I've tried to get my illustration technique much better. And when I started doing these, I realised that I really enjoyed them. The simplicity, there's something about the simplicity of a black and white line is just fantastic. Anybody can get a black pen and draw a skull, for example. It's really, just do it, depending on the shape of the nib, however you want to do it. But honestly, I think the simplicity of black and white, it is just still like black and white comics, and not the over sort of computer coloured style. Black and white comics are still the best, and black and white art, I think, is still some of the best. And the Mork Borg stuff is this wonderful combination of just garish, bright, neon style colours with a predominantly black and white artwork, if you will, with maybe a gallon or two of splattering red. Ooh. Anyway, so this was what the big influence for this was, and I did start doing quite a few of these. And then for some reason I seem to lose my thread a little bit, but like I say, I do think it's something I'm going to really go back to. If you have a look at Johan Nohr's Instagram account, that's Johan, Johan Nohr, and it's Art by Noir, which is Art by and then Nohr. Like I say, I put links below. I mean, his illustrations are just amazing. A lot of them are digital, but he does do a lot of hand-drawn stuff as well, and I think that the way he's got like a perfect combination of how he uses colour and digital and black and white. Very much in the vein of Jeffrey Allen Love's work, but with just much more of this garish colour. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Oh, whoa, bit's falling off my t-shirt. Jurassic Park. So yeah, so going forward, I'm hopefully going to do a few more of these. I had actually forgotten I'd videoed this. I found it and I was going through my cards. And use my fingers there. Look at that. Yeah, I like to get that bit of texture into there. Look at me go. I was going through my cards and I found this video, and I thought, oh blimey, why have I never shown that one? I better get together and get it all sorted. That's madness. So here it is. And I did find as well that I really took my time with these black and white illustrations, practicing with the pen and learning as I'm going along. I think that's really important. As you can see, I've used about 2 or 3 different types of pens here, which I will do incessantly. I never stick to a certain pen. I mean, you haven't even touched those W.H. Smith ones. Oh, there I have now. Look at me. Did you see me go then? As soon as I said it, I had to go for it, didn't I? Yeah. So, and then in the end, obviously I added quite a lot of texture to this, so trying to get the line from the bottom. It glipped then. I wonder what happened there. So, we'll drink. But also the like I said, another big influence apart from the Mork Borg is the Mark Riddick stuff, which I mean I just don't think you can go wrong with his work, and I'm always trying to sort of practice his techniques, and it's something I really need to do more of, I think. So yeah, that's the plan anyway. So back to the drawing, which is what I should go on about. So like I said, I drew this on some backing card for that you use for comics, because I really like the paper. Like I say, it's got a shiny side that makes the blacks really stand out, and ink holds really well to it. But you can also move the ink around if you want to, because it doesn't dry so quick. And then the other side of it has got more of a tooth to it. It is a nightmare if you get pencils, because pencil doesn't rub out on it very well at all, certainly on that side. But there's something about the shape and size of the paper. I don't know why. It's just a bit of an unusual size, I think, rather than your standard A4 or your A5. There's something about it. I suppose if you were to draw American comic size, that's also not A4. It's that standard size that they use for American comics. And I'm using some. I mean, look at that old watercolour set there. I don't think I've got that anymore. I may have thrown it away. I can't remember. No, can't remember at all. And the colour pencils there, the colour pencil crayons I've got there, I've had for years. I actually can't think where that box is now. I wonder where I put that. Anyway, so I've used obviously these W.H. Smith's black drawing pens. W.H. Smiths are stationers in the UK. Really good, really good. Oh, I'm having a bit of grey marker time here. Now, these are the grey markers that I got from a place called Tiger, which shut down in my local town, unfortunately. So they're really hard to get hold of, but the greys were really good colour. Now, the one thing about this paper is the alcohol markers, you can leave some brilliant textures with alcohol markers on this kind of card. I'm presuming it's hot pressed. I'm not looked into it that deeply. I just love the way that the grey markers, they don't soak into the paper. They sort of sit on top for a few seconds before, so you can move it around with the other ones. It gives it a bit more painterly quality, which I loved. And I discovered purely by chance. That's an old Curacolor marker I've got there. That must be nearly 15 years old. I think it's the only one I've got left that's still working. The rest of them are packed up. In fact, no, that one has already packed up. Yep, that's in the bin, that one now. These were refillable But could I find out how to refill them? No, that's how old they must be clocking on nearly 20 years old, I reckon. That marker there says a lot for them, I suppose, because it was still working, but it was scraping the bottom there. So I'm back to I think that's one of the W.H. Smith markers. Oh no, that's a I can't see what's. That's one of the W.H. Smith's calligraphy grey pens that I use in my sketchbooks at the moment. They're the ones that I'm using for my sketch monsters on my Patreon, which if anybody wants to sign up for, please do. I'll explain more at the end, and there'll also be links at the end. That's a watercolour pencil crayon that I'm using for the teeth, and then obviously I've got like a gel pen there that I'm using for the sort of whites dripping teeth, and that's a tiger paint marker that's also run out now, that I used. The problem with that one was it was really watery, but that's what you get for buying cheap. I think certainly with the white paint pens, you've just got to go Posca. They are just the best. It's from Muji, actually, that one. Yeah, Muji. That is a really old one. That again must be nearly 20 years old that I never used. So having a tidy up. Look at me go. What am I doing here? This will be to do with the textures. So I try to use different textures rather than just painting into the backgrounds when I was doing these. So using like crumpled up paper, using tissue paper. I think that's tracing paper. That's crumpled tracing paper that I've loaded up the ink palettes. I've obviously gone off for a brew or something. I'm still there. Look, there we go. You see? So I've added some ink in there with a lot of water, adding it to the paper, but using the tracing paper to sort of lift and add a few more colours. Didn't quite work there, I don't think, and I do believe I had to go back in later on, but I like the idea of being able to add that texture. That brush is knackered. Look at the state of it. Why was I using that? No idea. That's terrible. What a terrible brush. And I've obviously given up with the idea of trying to do the texture, because you see the bottom left hand side, that did not work, and I'll be thinking now, how do I get out of that? So again, I'm just trying to layer up those watercolours to see if I can there we go, that's adding a bit more texture. That's working. It's taking it out and adding it in. I love this idea of using crumpled papers for textures or something like that, and again, it is something I'm going to work on, and I have used in more detail in my later works. I think there's something about it that just, I don't know, you can't get with a computer, because it's sort of, you can with a computer in the way, but it just randomises when you do it on a computer, and it just uses the same brush that you've got. When you use a crumpled piece of paper and you're using real paint, you're just working on chance to see if it works. It won't repeat itself. The paint could be too thick, the paint could be too thin, the paper could be too dry, so very difficult. So I'm just about coming to the end of this picture by the looks of it, I think, adding a bit of more white. So whilst we just get to the end, I'd just like to say thanks for watching. That's my old bus pass that I'm using to splatter up there. That is the handiest bit of kit I've got. I use it all the time for splattering ink up. I have used that for donkeys. It's absolutely fantastic. Love it to bits. It's really solid. It's like a credit card, but as you can see how much paint it's got all over it. Smart card, I think they're called. Anyway, we're getting towards the end. Obviously, I'm giving it the good splashing up, as I said before. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Follow me on Instagram, Dansmonsters, and if you want to support the Patreon, you get a lot more stuff like this. There's sketchbooks, there's free stuff, there's stickers, depending on which tier you want to go to. There's a lot of free stuff on there you can have a watch of. A lot of free stuff. I post to Sketchbook Monsters every week, and also if you want to join up one of the tiers, it starts from £1.50 a month, and you'll get access to sketchbook scans, other artwork, the Dan Rambles podcast, the Drawing from the Dark podcast, and it's an email, and other things like that. But thanks very much for having a look. Hope you like it. Bye.